Hey, what's up guys? Another knife review today. We're talking about the Spyderco Citadel. This is one of the few Spyderco automatics that are out there. A lot of you guys are used to the manual Spydercos of all kinds, shapes, and sizes. This is a very interesting knife. Citadel is a word meaning fortress, or a fortress that protects a city. So that's where the name derives from. And this thing is built like a fortress. Aluminum body, full aluminum body on this, and we have a coil spring which shoots that blade out, button lock, automatic. It comes out with authority. I mean, if I were to hold this with two fingers, you'll see just the movement, that swings the knife around. Try that again, try to balance this a little bit. Just holding it with two fingers. This thing will shoot out of your hand if you don't grip it hard enough. There is a safety on here. One thing I did notice is that the safety is a little bit hard to turn on one-handed, okay, with the thumb. Even though there's knurling and it's kind of pyramid shaped. Come in close to show you this. I find it a little bit hard to snap that on because what this safety is doing is, if you don't know how a button lock works, of course you can't really see that well in there. But basically there's a steel barrel on the bottom portion of the button, all right, which blocks the blade from coming out. Now as you push the button down, you're exposing the skinnier tube on top, which releases the blade itself. I believe in an older video I showed how button locks work and stuff like that. And to make a button lock in auto, all you're doing is putting a coil spring in there that's connected to the blade and the handle. What's very cool about this particular knife, or any coil spring automatic, is it's very, very easy to take the spring out and make it a manual knife. If you live somewhere, you happen to like this design, or happen to want an automatic knife around your house, but let's say you can't carry one, you could take the knife apart and take this spring out. It'll literally just pop out, put it in a safe place, and you'll have a standard button lock knife. All right, so to open it then, you'd have to, just to press the button, and then, just kind of swing the blade out. There is a spider hole in this, but because it's an automatic, it's undersized. It's not meant to be used as an opening mechanism. It's just there for aesthetics because it, part of their theme. But yeah, you could take the coil spring out of this one and just have it as a manual knife. And like I said, you would basically just depress your button, swing your blade out to the open position, and it would lock. Of course, you release it at that point. And to close it, same deal. Push the button in, and then swing it shut. But right now it's under spring tension, so that won't work like that. Very cool, very strong. Like I said, pops out with authority. A little bit beefy, but it's, by design. 5.1 ounces on this. You can see it's a fully enclosed design here. All right, so you have two thick slabs of aluminum, CNC'd. And this is very reminiscent of like the Benchmade Presidio, where you have the bi-directional texturing on there, basically like little shelves. It works very, very well to keep grip, okay? Pushing against it, it really does grip the hand, but not in a comfortable way. Speaking of grip, there's a very, very slight thumb ramp and jimping on this one, but also extremely, extremely effective at keeping your thumb exactly where it's supposed to be. You're not gonna slip off of this very easily. Blade shape is also very reminiscent of the Spydercos. A lot of their sheep's foot blades are very similar. There is a swedge on the top here, but it dissipates towards the tip, so you still have that thickness for a stronger tip. Very nice. Course comes razor sharp. S30V stainless on this one. Black coating on this is a carbon nitride coating. Anti-reflective, although it seems somewhat glossy, it doesn't really reflect light. So it's super tactical for anyone who's into that. It doesn't really matter to me. But the Spyderco's carbon nitride coatings do last a little bit longer than some of the other coatings out there offered by other companies. So if you are someone who likes a black blade, I mean, this also does come in a regular satin version, as well as this is the 92 millimeter size. They have another version of this, which is slightly smaller at 83 millimeters. So something else to note, this is a larger version. I like it. It's a very, very cool knife. Well, speaking of, I didn't even give you the specs, did I? Open 8.1 inches, closed 4.9 inches. And our blade on this is 3.6 inches. And again, that's S30V stainless. It's very effective. I've talked to this many times. If you've been following the knife community at all, you know all about S30V and how a lot of people love it. S30V does have its drawbacks in that because it is a little bit harder, it's not an easy steel to sharpen. If you're going from something that's completely dull, to sharpen it is a little bit of a process, particularly if you're not used to sharpening, or if you have a real cheap sharpening kit, it might be a little bit more difficult for you to get a good edge on that. But you know, it still shouldn't take away from how great S30V is. A lot of people like it for a reason. Some people in that arena, some people tend to go towards, even if you like S30V, you'll tend to go towards like a 154 cm, simply because it's a little bit easier to sharpen. But there's a slew of different steels out there, and a lot of people like different ones for different reasons. Price on this is actually all over the place. They're very hard to find, and they range. I've seen these as low as $150. Like Blade HQ, I think, carries one for $150, but they've been out of stock for a long time now. I've seen them as high as $230 as well. The problem is that because it is fully automatic, some websites do restrict the purchasing of it. Sometimes you'll have to, you know, provide, you know, a military ID of some kind to show that you're allowed to legally own it. It really depends on your source or where you're getting stuff like this from. Some websites have a clause in the website basically saying, hey, anyone can buy this, but you're responsible by purchasing this knife from us. You're acknowledging that you're fully legal to own this. And basically it's just a legal thing they have to put on there so that, you know, they don't get in trouble. But other websites do want verification that you're legally allowed to own and have an automatic knife shipped to you. It's just one of those technicalities. I mean, automatic knives aren't any more dangerous than regular folding knives. I mean, regular manual knives. We all know this, but it's just one of those things. It's kind of like with guns. You know, a short barreled rifle isn't any more dangerous than a long barreled one, but it requires different paperwork. So one thing I really like about this is that you notice on the front, in the middle, they have their Spyderco logo, okay? Not by mistake, I'm fairly sure this is not by mistake. It's also on the back, but that's right where the pocket clip rests, okay? So this aggressive bidirectional texturing on the aluminum handles, your clip isn't affected by that. It does not rip up the pants, okay? Very good tension on this clip, but you can see it rests on the flat part of the logo, okay? Like I said, I don't think that's by mistake. I think that's very intentional, and I think it's a great small detail, because when you have a very heavy textured handle scale, you guys know it will rip up your pocket. So by having the tension being pinched right at the flat part of the knife is very, very good. Okay, this does hold a great tension. Carries pretty deep because it's 5.1 ounces. It's not, I wouldn't say a brick or anything, but it's definitely enough heft hanging in your pocket. It does not want to come out of your pocket very easily. Like I said, the only drawback with this knife for me is the lock, because you know it takes a little bit of some pressure to click that. It's actually a lot easier to take off than to put on. And you can see I could do it one-handed, just sometimes it wants to stick depending on how much that button is up. There will be a little bit of play in the button. It won't make a whole lot of noise, but there'll be a little bit of play, and if it happens to be in the upward position, it'll be harder to click that lock back and forth. All right, but obviously you can see it is accessible one-handed, and it will lock that. Okay, so we'll not allow that blade to come out. In case you are fearful of it opening the pocket, you can see obviously that it is a tip-up oriented knife from factory, and it's also oriented right-hand carry, but you can see you have the option to swap it to a left-hand carry if you wanted to. So that's the Spyderco Citadel. It's a very, very cool automatic. And like I said, Spyderco doesn't make a whole bunch of autos, so it's fun to see automatic knives from certain companies that you're not used to seeing autos. You know, a company like, say, Microtech, ProTech, you know, they deal mainly in automatic knives, and then, you know, it's kind of a flip-flop. You see a company like Spyderco that deals mainly in some manual knives, but of course they do offer automatics for military personnel and things like that. But of course anyone could own it if you really want to. You don't need paperwork or anything like that. Just one of those weird stipulations, weird laws. But that's it. That's the Spyderco Citadel. It's a very cool knife. I love it. I did use it for a while, but I'm in the middle of a trade right now, and that's why I'm doing this review. I bumped it up on the list so that I can get this knife out to the next owner. So congratulations to, you know, who you are. I did trade this. Actually, I'll show you right now. I traded the Citadel for another Spyderco. All right, I will show you real quick, since I'm talking about it anyway, the trade I did for this Citadel. And I got a really, really nice surprise in it. It was a partial trade. I got a partial cash and partial trade. The knife I got in trade is this other Spyderco. This is the Manix 2. The first thing I noticed about this knife is that high like mirror polish on the blade. It's I don't think I've seen that quite that same finish on a Spyderco before. Love the knife, it's awesome. I'm going to be started EDCing this, and you will see a review of this in the future. But he threw in a really, really nice surprise, which is perfect timing. And here it is right here. See, it's another Spyderco. And this is from Brian, by the way. I didn't do an unboxing video because I thought my webcam, well, I tried doing one, but my webcam was not on. But anyway, it says okay to read on camera, so here's the note. Hey Jeff, thanks for making this trade with me. In the box is your knife and another special gift. Thank you for your videos. They bring me hours of entertainment. Don't ever stop making them. Yours truly, Brian. And Brian threw in another knife, which was amazing timing. And here it is. Yes, the Spyderco Cricket. But Jeff, you already have a Cricket. Well, I'm doing a completely separate sale, not a trade, but a sale to pay some bills. And in that sale, I have my Spyderco Cricket. So what do you know? Fate has brought me another one. Brian, this is an extremely nice, very generous addition. Total surprise, was not expecting that or ready for that. Like I said, it was very nice of you. He said it was just a little bit too small for him in the other note. You know, he loved the knife. It's just not his size, I guess. But yes, a Cricket will always be with me. I love this knife, and in fact, I think I will start EDCing this as a secondary blade because it is so useful, and I do love the design so much. Very thin, weighs nothing. If you never had a Spyderco Cricket before, it's definitely worth checking out. They have a couple different flavors. Of course, they have a carbon fiber one. They have another one that's textured, you know, instead of just flat stainless like this. But really, really nice surprise. So could not be happier. And Brian, I'll get your Citadel out tomorrow, ASAP. So anyway, that's all. Thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate your time as always. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.